我会酸酸酸。
Hello everyone. Hello everyone. This is CY. Right. I'm just setting up the machine and get it ready. First of all, right, I'll be doing what we call the manual rows. Right. So the manual rows will require all the switches at the back to be flipped towards you. Right. So you have to make sure there are actually 3 switches at the back. You have to make sure that all 3 switches are switched towards you. Right. And that is basically the manual mode. Right, so I've set up a little table here, right, so that I can actually use my laptop. Right, so while waiting to start, right, let me know if you have any questions, right, so that I can help to answer while we are doing this live. Right, I'm actually using my laptop to monitor the chat. Hi Bob. Let's just wait for a while for the rest to join us. Right, so basically this is the M10 Pro. So I'm actually roasting in the living room. Okay, let me see whether I can see my own live chat. Oh, okay, I can. Right, so just Bob, just wait. Give me a few moments, right? While we wait for more people to join us. Right, hi Thomas. Hi Thomas. Poison time. The color on the DF64 looks really nice. You know? Really nice. Okay. Yeah, we are the poison partners in Singapore, right? Okay, let me go and get some beans. Right, probably let me see what beans I want to roast. Definitely I'll be roasting the geisha tonight, right? But before I roast the geisha, I will want to warm up the machine first so that probably the first batch will not be tasting as good as the other batches. So right now I'm just going to start preheating the machine, right? So since the first batch I'm going to roast manually, right? So what's going to happen is I'm going to do all the controls on the LCD touchscreen panel here, right? So you probably can't see very well from that far, right? So everything can be controlled using the touchscreen for the manual mode. So right now I'm setting up the air temperature to be about 180 degrees Celsius, right? And once I start the heating power, I'll also start the stir, right? So that the drum will continue to stir while there's a heat source going on. So that's something that I always do, right? So let's start the heat. By the way, the air temperature can be adjusted, so you can adjust it to between anything below, I think below 220 or 230 degrees Celsius, right? So that's the highest you can go for the air temperature, right? So let's start with 100%, right? And I'll start the drum as well. Let's start the drum at 80%. Right, and once the drum started, I can hear some coffee beans inside the drum. That means there are some beans that stuck inside the drum previously, and it's very easy to remove. Basically, you just have to open the front catch, and you can see it drop out already, right? So it's actually very easy. So since the drum is not heated up, so I can actually use my hand to pick up the beans, and then just throw it at the side, right? So make sure you close the door, right? Make sure the lower latch is closed. Right, make sure that your sampling stick, right, there's a arrow there. Can you see that this tip is actually pointing upwards? Make sure that this tip is pointing downwards, right? Otherwise, this will actually catch some green beans while you roast, right? And make sure that the top hatch is also closed as well, right? So let me go and get some coffee beans. By the way, this is the geisha beans, right? Not sure you can see that. This is the 300 grams I have, right? It's a gift from a friend, Jensen. Alright, I'll first start to roast with a batch of Ethiopian beans from the region called Konga. So if you have any question, I can actually see the chat, right? So if you have any question, you can ask, and I'll try to answer your questions along the way. I'll be roasting this batch about 300 grams. I'll be giving all, so this batch will be about 356 grams here, right? So normally if you have a notebook, right, Jane, you can just take out a notebook. Hi Andre. Yeah. Alright, so you may want to take out a notebook and maybe record down the roasting profile that you're going to try today. So for example, this is my plan for the roasting on the Ethiopian beans, right? The Ethiopian konga, right? So the altitude is pretty high for these beans, right? But the bean is actually quite small, right? Quite small in size. So the density is actually very high for this bean, because it's grown at quite a high altitude. So my plan for this is I'm going to charge it at 180 degrees Celsius. Hi Andre. Right, I'm going to charge it at 180 degrees Celsius, the air temperature. Right, so right now, my air temperature has already reached 170 degrees. Right, so you can see it's only passed about 5 minutes or so. And the machine is actually very powerful. The M10 is much more powerful as compared to the M2. So the temperature climb is also much faster. So let me talk about the plan for today for the first batch of beans, right? So since this is rather hard and small, so the density is quite high. So I want to get the heat as quickly as possible to get into the beans, right? So I will be using full power to roast for the first stage, right, whereby the beans is drying, right? So when the bean reaches about 150 to 160 degrees Celsius, I will check. Along the way, I'll definitely check, right? But around 150 degrees Celsius, I'll check for the color, right? By the time it reaches 150 degrees Celsius, the color should be turning a yellowish brown, right? A very light brown color. That's called the drying phase, right? So from the drying phase, I'll reduce my heat to 50%, right? And I'll wait for the first crack, right? And once first crack happen, right, I will vent out the air, right? At the same time, I'll reduce the heating power to 50%, right? Then I will develop it for about 40 seconds, right? So that's the plan for these beans today, right? So I repeat, drop temperature is 180 degrees Celsius. I'm going to roast with full power all the way until it is about 150 to 160 degrees Celsius, and I'm going to check the color of the beans. And after that, I will reduce the heating power to 50%, and then I will wait for the first crack, right? And once the first crack happens, I'll start to vent out the exhaust, right, for about 40 seconds, right, and let it develop for about 40 seconds, right, and after that I'll drop the beans and cool it. So that's the plan for the first batch of beans today, right? Seems not much because I'm going for a lighter roast, right, for this batch of Ethiopian beans, right? Normally for Ethiopian beans, I will want the development to be slightly less than a minute, right? If I want to go to medium, right, I will let the development stretch to more than a minute, maybe a minute, or maybe a minute and 10 to 20 seconds, depending on how fast the roasting stage is picking up, right? This machine is actually quite powerful, so 40 seconds may not sound a lot, but actually the development is actually pretty fast. So every second actually you have to take very good care, otherwise you may over roast it, and from light roast it may become actually medium roast, right? And our objective for these beans today is actually to light to medium, right? So therefore you can see the development time is only about 40 to maybe 40 seconds. That's my target for today, right? Okay, so now you can see that both my air temperature and my bean temperature has reached 180 degrees Celsius. So it's about time for me to drop the beans, right? So remember, right, before you drop the bins, there's one very important thing you must do, right? And what is that? You have to reset your heating curve as well as your timer, right? And if you want to record your roasting profile, right, you have to do the artisan connection through Bluetooth, right? So you can see that the sniper is Bluetooth connected to my laptop via artisan. There's no need to have any wires or whatsoever, right? I think the Bullet R1, if I'm not wrong, it requires a hardwire connection to USB port, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, right? But if I remember correctly, the Bullet R1, right, requires a hardwire connection from the USB wire to the USB port of the laptop, right? Do confirm, right? Because that's from my memory, right? And besides that, the R1, the Bullet R1 performed almost exactly the same as the Sniper M10, right? The capacity of M10 is actually 1.4 kg, right? And I think the capacity of the Bullet R1 is only 1 kg, right? And besides that, everything else can be controlled, right? Your temperature can be controlled, your exhaust power can be controlled, the heating power can be controlled, the stirring can be controlled as well, right? You can also control the percentage of exhaust that you want to vent out. So there are actually quite a lot of things you can actually control with the M10 machine, right? And you can see I'm actually roasting indoor, right? And where do I hide the pipe, right? Outside my living room is actually my balcony. So I have actually a hose connected, right? Let me bring you to see it. Right, not too sure you can see that. Right, do you see the hose here? Right, this is actually the hose which connect to the outside, right, of my balcony, right? Okay, so basically that's my setup at home, right? So you will see that there will not be much smoke actually even if you roast indoor, right? So if you're worried about smoky living rooms, right, you don't really have to worry about it. Okay, so right now the temperature looks good. I'm going to charge it. So remember, you have to reset your curve, right, and you have to start the timer. And now we will drop. And make sure you close the hatch. Right, make sure this is closed, right? Yes, Andre. It's the same as the if you have if you cook at home, your what do you call that? The hob? Is it the hob? Whereby you suck out all the cooking films. You can actually use the hose. It's a kind of elastic hose whereby you can connect it directly to the M10. Make sure the size is correct, right? Yeah, you have to make sure that you get the correct size one, right? I believe it's quite easily available. Right, so actually I can see from the monitor, right, it has already reached turning point, right, and it's already rising up. It is slightly different from the dryer one, but you can actually get the one that you use for cooking, the one that you connect to the cooking hob, with an aluminum foil coating, right? Because I believe the one for dryer is made of some plastic material, if I'm not wrong, right? Which I'm not too sure can withstand the heat. But the one that you use for cooking definitely can take the heat, right? So the one definitely you can use. Is there a hose for the cooling bowl, right? I think there's this clueless penguin that asked a question, right? There's no cooling hose. Basically, you can see this tub here. This tub here has got 4 fans attached to it. The moment I drop the fan, I can actually switch on the 4 fans, and it will cool the coffee beans that's inside. The cooling only needs about 5 minutes. So there's no extra wire or whatsoever, right? So everything is actually built in. Yeah, and there's one very nice feature on the M10 Sniper, which is the way they collect the shaft, right? The shaft is all connected at the drawer here, right? You can see that there's some leftover shaft that's inside and never cleared. Right, so right now, Okay, the bean temperature is reaching about 132, 133, so it's still rising up. So I'm actually looking out for 150 degrees Celsius and I'll do a check, right? We have only started roasting for about 3 minutes, right? Hi Dane! Your machine? I'm talking to the factory to try to ship it out as soon as possible. Yeah, this is the first batch, alright. Hello. We are now reaching about 145 degrees Celsius. Yeah. I'm quite sure you'll be very happy with this machine. I can smell the roasty, the coffee roasting smell already. Very pleasant. I think this is the pleasure of roasting at home, right? Even though you may have roasted a bad batch. Currently my rate of rise, I don't, okay wait, it's 150. It's turning yellow, right? My rate of rise is 11, which is a bit high. So right now I'm going to tune down my heat to 50%, right? And the moment I tune down, how's the smoke with darker batches? There's no smoke at all, right? 11 degrees Celsius in half a minute, which is pretty fast. So right now I'm trying to reduce it, right? I'm trying to reduce it to about 5 degrees Celsius per half a minute, right? That's my target actually. And you can see that my RR is now 8. So by reducing power, I'm reducing the RR as well, right? Okay, my bean temperature is reaching about 167, 168. Right, we are just past about 5 minutes, slightly under 5 minutes of roasting. As you see the color. It's getting slightly more brownish, darker brown, but not exactly to the dark brown region. It's still the brownish region, but the medium brown region, right? Let me smell it. Wow, it's nice. I can smell the slight acidity there, right? Because if I roast it medium, it will be acidic. And I like the brightness and the fruitiness from the light roasted beans of the Ethiopian, right? Having a dry, oh, I can hear the first crack. Okay, the RR, okay, I'm going to vent out. So I can hear the successive crack now. Can you hear that? So from now, I'm going to start to count 40 seconds. Right, I've already dropped the beans. And it has started to cool. It's going to be a bit noisy because all the 4 fans are switched on now. I'll get ready something like something with this to stir it. Let me bring you closer to see. Hello, I think my student has joined me as well. Frosty, who is by the name of Frosty? Please identify yourself. Okay, let me bring you closer to see the rows, right? Okay, there are some beans that's not good. I can see this is a lousy, this is a bad bean. But overall, the rows condition is pretty good. Yeah, you can see this. You can see this one. Yeah, this is a bad one. You can see I can actually use my hand to touch. This is the bad beans, and it's already cooled down. It's quite a few bad ones. So you can see I can already use my hand to touch it, means it's already cooled. Hello, Mike. Yep, this fan is extremely powerful, right? I'm just going to pick out a few bad beans there. Okay, let me get a tray. Right, these are the things you need. Hi, Justin. There's going to be a bit of shaft on the ground, right? This is the kind of shaft you're going to have on the ground. And probably on the sofa too. Right, so there's a slight shaft there and there. Right, but all these can be settled with a vacuum cleaner. Really? Okay, I'm going to switch off the cooling because it's really very loud, right? But the 4 fans are actually very, very powerful, as you can see. You can cool down the beans in about 5 minutes time, right? And the whole process, including cooling, takes about 11 minutes, right? So just now I dropped the beans at about 6 to 7 minutes, right? Because I guess because this is the first batch of roasting and the machine hasn't been warmed up properly, so the heat may not have spread out to the entire machine, right? So yep, this thing can do back to back, no problem, right? So now I'm going to close the air vent, go increase my heat source back to 100%, and it will maintain the heat there, right? So let me now reset the curve, right? Reset the time, right? And make sure that I off the discharge smokes as well, so everything is closed. So now the machine will get back to the temperature, right? So while waiting for the machine to get ready, I will take a look at the batch of rows, right? Right, maybe under the light you can see better. Right, that's the roast quality. So it's very, very even. Yep, you handle the shaft very well. So you can see the beans are technically all clean. There's no shaft. I won't say 100% no shaft. Maybe there's about 5% of shaft retention. Right, and the beans quality are excellent. You can see the condition of the roast is very beautiful. Right. So I'll just let it set there and sit there. And I think this batch has a few crackers. Besides that, I think it's a pretty clean batch. Okay, here's another one, the gigantic crackers. Can you see that? Yeah, this is the lousy beans, right? Yeah, other than that, I think the batch looks pretty well roasted. It's pretty even. Smells amazing, huh? Okay, so I'm going to leave this at the side. Yup, next thing we're going to try the geisha, right? Geisha. Right, 300 grams. I'm going to record this profile. Right, so yeah, the color looks very, very different. Right, let me open up the bag. Wow, I can smell the wine, the kind of wine taste from the beans. I think it's probably natural treatment. Right, I think this is natural treatment, right? Therefore you can smell the something like grapes, you know, when grapes are fermented, you can smell this, right? Well, I wish you can smell it. Yeah, I'm going to show you the green beans. Right. Hi, Nick. Right. The geisha bean colors is slightly different from the rest of the beans, right? It almost look like roasted beans when it's green. Right, so this is how it looks like. Yep, it is fermented. I can smell it. How long have I had my roaster? I've had the M2 for about a year, right? And I've had the M10 for about 6 months to 9 months, I think. Yeah, I'm not gonna lose any beans here, right? Bob, you're right. You know, I saw an advertisement on Instagram, right? They are asking us to buy to buy like 21 packs of 125 grams of geisha sampling beans for about $295 US dollar. So there are 21 different geisha beans in that sampling pack, and it costs 295 US, and the shipping is included, right? Later on I'm going to search for the Instagram ad, right? I think they usually go for auction, right? And after that, before the auction, you can actually buy the sample, and then you taste the sample before you decide what kind of price you're gonna bid for the geisha beans, right? Those are auction. The grade score is 95 and above. Some are 97. Crazy, right? The I think 1 pound. Sorry, 1 pound. 1 pound. I think is 50 to 60 US dollar. 1 pound. Right, so let me check the temperature. You can see the temperature is actually very steady. Yep, they sell their samples, yes. And 295, if you think about 295 US dollar for 21 packs of 125 grams, that, yeah, correct. And it costs around, okay, I have calculated it will weigh around 2.4 kg, and it costs almost 300 US dollar, right? Of course, shipping is included, right? Sure, okay, bye bye, penguin. Yep. Yeah, so yeah, their geishas is way more expensive. I agree. Yeah, but I think we're all starting to learn how to roast, right? So I think this level is fine, right? Okay, I can hear some beans turning inside, so I'm gonna drop it first, right? Yep, you can hear that, it drop out. Right? And it's already become dark. It will be too hot to touch now, right? Hi, Linda. Yeah, I think $20 a pound is really very reasonable. And from my experience watching Bob prepare 7 shots of geisha, I think that's a hit, that's a record, right? And we make Bob walk around in his I think from living room all the way to kitchen, and from kitchen back to the living room. How many times have you done that? 2020 crops. Okay, I see. Right? Okay, so now I can see the temperature is steady at 180 degrees Celsius. It really maintained. Too many. So I will still be dropping the temperature. Okay, let me talk about the plan, right? Hi Jensen. Right, thank you for this bag, right? I'm finally gonna roast it. Maybe Jensen, maybe can you share with me your roasting profile? Like for example, what's your drop temperature? What's your air temperature when you drop the beans? Right, how long you develop? How long is your drying phase? When do you control your power? Maybe you can give me a pointer. So before I start to roast this bag. By the way, this bag is actually from Jensen, right? I think his name is JC, right? JC0799, right? He's a very good friend of mine in Singapore, right? I think I poisoned him too, right? He has purchased so many things from me after watching my video. Okay, my initial plan is actually to drop at 180 degrees Celsius still, right? And maybe to develop this slowly, slightly slower than as compared to just now. So once I reach the temperature, I'll reduce the heating power, right, to about 80%. I will not roast at 100%. I'll roast at about 80% heat, right? Then I will allow it to reach its turning point and rise up. Again, I'm going to monitor at about 140 to 150 degrees Celsius, right, during the drying phase. And then from there, right, I want to keep this bag of geisha bean to be sweeter, right, and maybe of a less acidic one. So I'm going to roast it. Let me think. Charge higher, okay, about 190 degrees, okay. So how long is your development? How long is your waiting, the heating period, you know, the drying phase? How long do you stretch it? Okay, let me adjust to 190. I have to listen to my friend here, right, who actually have roasted the geisha beans. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the charge temperature. So it will turn dark quite fast. Okay. So is it a good idea to charge at 190 degrees? Because that's what I'm afraid. If it turns dark too fast, you'll be my reaction time will be very, very short. So you can see everything is touch-free control, right? So now I've set the air temperature to 190. Drop at 20 to 30 seconds after first crack. Oh, that's pretty fast. Lightest batch you put. Linda, this is the M10 Pro. Maybe to do a soak of 30 seconds to 1 minute when you drop the beans. Okay. Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay. Soak, I think by soak, it means like that you Okay, yeah. So it's like did you cut off the power when you are soaking? Which means you cut off the power, right? So let the heat from the machine get into the beans for about 30 seconds. When you heat up your machine to, let's say, but at what temperature do you soak? Cut the power, right? Yep, I know, yes. Okay, I think what I'll do is, okay, so that means once I drop the beans, I cut the power, let it soak for about 20 to 30 seconds, then I'll switch on the power back. Right? Because this is my first time roasting geisha beans, so I'm not very sure. Right, usually I don't have to soak the beans because normally the beans, even the Kenya pea berries, yeah, they are hard. Okay, so cut power for 30 seconds. Let's do that. Right, so let me get this. I forgot to measure the beans, see? I'm so excited. Okay, let's measure the beans. $306 grams. So about 300 grams. Yep, okay, so now air temperature is 190. Right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut the power. I'm going to reset the curve. Right, I'm going to start the timer. And then I'm going to cut the heat. And I'm going to drop. "30 seconds, so let's bring the power back up. So the stove is pretty fast, right? Let's roast at 80% power. Right, as advised by Jensen. So now we wait. Yeah, we need a village here, right? To help us each other to roast geisha. Yep, correct. My RR is now at 7. It's still a bit too high, alright. But I think 7 should be okay. Linda, the bean looks very different from the other type of beans, right? Normally other type of beans are lighter in color. They are maybe greenish and some are slightly more pale in color. Roasting on the balcony. It's too hot outside, Justin. You know how hot it's outside now? It's very hot. Hot and humid. I prefer the comfort of aircon, you know, and I just connect my pipe outside. Okay, RR is a bit too high. I'm going to control the heat a little bit to control the RR. What about the exhaust? Linda, this machine, that's really wonderful, this machine. It doesn't have much exhaust. Yep, there's actually a window. Where my sniper is connected, there's actually a pipe that bring all the exhaust heat air, hot air that go out of the window, but there's not much fumes around, right? So that's what good about this machine, right? It's not smoky. 1.4, Justin, 1.4 kg, max. But I don't think you should go to the max. Temperature is rising pretty nice, right? Usually, I think the maximum I go is 1.2. Lowest I put in is 150 gram. 150. Yeah, so I'm trying to control the aura so to be slightly lower. We are now hitting about 150 degrees Celsius. Definitely, yes, Justin, you're right. This thing can do a sample roast, no problem. 30 seconds, right, Bob? Okay, aura is 6 now, it's very good. Wow, smells really great. Look at the color. It's turning light brown. And I can see the bean has increased in size, right? Yep, the RR is 30 seconds. RR now is 5, and 5 is the best that I like, right? I like to keep it at about 5. 5 degrees Celsius for every 30 seconds, right? I'm going to bring up slightly because I don't want the RR to drop continuously. Yes. In fact, I'm going to discharge the smoke now to about 40% to draw out the air, right? That's actually my plan too, right? When I reach about drying phase, I'm going to draw out the air. I can hear a crack there, but that's not exactly. Bye, Nick. Good night. Okay, the first crack has started. Wow, very nicely roasted. We are only 6 minutes into roasting. Aura is perfect. I'm going to wait for 5 more seconds. And I'm going to drop. Wow. Let me show you. And I can even use my hand to touch. Jensen, the first crack happens at about 175 degrees. Andre. Wow, the color of rose is very good. I'm just going to use my hand to stir it so that it cool down even faster. In fact, it's already cooled down, right? Okay, let's pour it out. Right, I'm going to use this sieve. And I'm going to bring you closer to see the rose. Can you see that? Okay, let me bring out Pak Song, right? My God, I can smell the geisha bean smell. The fermented grapes like, you know, the grapes like smell. Oh, smells really good. Okay, let me show you the bags of Pak Song. It smells like fermented grapes. And it's a kind of, how do I describe the smell? No, it doesn't smell like coffee at all. Right? It doesn't smell like coffee at all. It smells like there's a lot of sweetness inside. Jensen say best to let it rest for 5 days for espresso. Pour over can try tomorrow. So tomorrow I'm gonna try it, right? Tomorrow morning, I'm gonna try for pour over, right? Wow, Jensen, I think I'm gonna buy this. Siphon now? My siphon system is at my father's place. Right? Maybe I'll bring some to my father's place tomorrow. And tomorrow I'm going to try it there, right? Oh, smells amazing. Okay, but I forgot about the Pak Song. I'm gonna smell the Pak Song, right? This is roasted on the 25th of May, right? About 20 days, about 15 days from now. You check out the difference in roast condition. I think I roast better than the Pak Song. Look at that. This is Pak Song. This is mine. Can you see that? Yep, mine looks much better. So let me smell Pak Song. This has been roasted for about about 15 days already. Yep, doesn't have the fermented smell at all. I don't know what kind of geisha they use for Pak Song. Yes. Jensen, I love the fermented smell from the geisha beans. Right, when I first smell the green beans, okay, let me off the exhaust fan. Right, otherwise there'll be a noise at the background. Like soya sauce taste. Yeah, I think I'm addicted to this already. Oh, my goodness. If this already smells so good now, I can't imagine 5 days later. Flowers. I think it does smell like flowers. Do another roast. What should I roast? I'm good. Maybe I can show you how I do the auto roast profile. Jasmine, rose. I think it smells a bit like jasmine. Not rose. Definitely not rose, right? My God. I can smell this for hours. Thomas, would you want to come and try next week? Come. My goodness. I have to say, it smells a bit like fermented tofu. I agree. Yes, I think Thomas, this is the right one. It has the fermented tofu smell. I think I cannot roast another batch today. This is the roast, you know. Okay. My goodness. Yeah, Justin, you're right. This is my first time roasting geisha. Yeah, the smell is my good. I'm lost in words. You know how to describe the smell. Yep, definitely fermented tofu. Thomas, you must come and try this, right? Let's meet up next week at my house. Park your car at the park. I'm gonna fetch you, right? You're gonna come to my place and we're gonna try this, right? Tomorrow I'm gonna do a pour over and see how it goes, right? Maybe tomorrow morning, right, will be your night time. By the way, how do you all find my modification to DF64? Right, I'm gonna start another pot of poison. Hey Kelvin, it's really very good. Yeah, I hope you find the videos useful and actually the modification is quite. I have some ideas about how the decrumper should look like, right? The decrumper should be sharp at the exit and blunt at the sharp at the at the part whereby the beans are being blown out. I mean the coffee ground, and should be blunt so that it can decrumple the beans when it comes out. So that's what I did to do the modification on the decrumpers, right? So and I make it so that the side that's facing the coffee that's coming out will be sharp, and all the corners are actually chamfered in so that the beans will not stuck at the corner, right? So it will go all out. And now I'm not too sure whether you have watched my latest video, right? My latest video in the slow motion actually shows how the coffee ground is actually distributed. I think it distributed quite well, right? And I don't actually, after I hear there's no more bean grinding, I don't use the bellow because the bellow will produce fine, right? And I will just don't bellow at all. I'll just collect the beans, coffee ground from there. I think it's good enough, right? So I think I will stop here for today, right? Wait, can you bring up your controller? I can show you the controller, and I can show you how the bar can be controlled, right? So let me set up my laptop and I'm going to switch to auto mode. Before that, I need to power down the machine first, right? Remember just now the 3 switches at the back of the machine, right? When you want to do manual roasting, you have to push all the 3. Oh my god, the smell. It's getting stronger and stronger. Just now I have to put my nose near it. Now I can smell it from here. I have to push it away. My goodness. This is bad. I think I've roasted the geisha better than the Ethiopian beans just now. Okay, so remember just now the 3 switches, I have to push it towards me, right? When I want to do the auto roast. So before you want to do the, when I do the manual roast, right? Sleep beside it. I don't know, maybe you'll absorb the smell from my room, which is not very ideal. So I'm going to bag it later, right? So that you can preserve all the smell inside the bag. So every morning I can open the bag slightly and I'm going to sniff. Right? So let me repeat what I want to say. When you want to switch from manual roast to auto roast, you have to power down the machine first, right? Really, you did that? Great mind thinks alike. So I'm going to power down the machine. Right, you can hear the power is now down. Right, you don't hear the drum rotating anymore. And now you can reach to the back of the machine. Right, there are 3 switches at the back. Maybe I show you. Right, can you see those 3 switches there? Right, now it's switched all the way inside. Yeah, it's true, Justin, I haven't even drank it yet. So now I have to flip the switch outside, right? 1, 2, and 3. Right? You have to make sure you switch out all the way. Right? Otherwise, you'll be stuck in the middle. Middle is off, right? So make sure it's all out. Right? And when the 3 switches are all out, we are ready to auto roast, right? So let me switch on the power. Right, you can see there are some shaft on the ground, right? But it is pretty manageable. I can just use a vacuum to clean up. And how do you know your machine has been switched to automatic? Now, I think you can't control from your controller anymore, right? So everything has to be controlled over the laptop. Right, so right now, let me try to connect to the roaster. Right, so I will be going for my Bluetooth connection. Right, I'm going to show my Bluetooth device. Right, I think let me see whether it's being paired. Right, so it's paired here. Right, so you can see Kaleido. Right, I've already paired it before. Right, so right now I'm going to switch on my artisan. Right, and profile. Okay, these are the artisan setting. Right, so if you purchase the Kaleido sniper from me, I'll have to send you this setting. Right, and of course you have to download the artisan software first, right? Without this setting, your artisan software will not work. So you need to have this setting. Right, so right now we are at the artisan interface, right? So right now, how do I know whether my roaster is connected, right? So I'm going to show you. Right, first we go over the configuration. Right, go over to device. Oops. Right. So you have to make sure that your TC4 is selected because we are using TC4. Right, and you have to make sure that your filters, right, these are actually your so-called fail-safe features, whereby you want to set it at 95%, right? You don't want to go over, right? So all the controller will have to set to 95%. Right, and then you click OK. right? And my COM port, right? This COM port depends on your machine, right? My COM port is 5, and my baud rate, right? This one you can check your own computer, right? My baud rate is 9006, and then I'm click OK again, right? And I'm going to click on. There's a button here. Where's my mouse? Okay, here. Right, click on. And by right, if I'm connected, the temperature here should show, right? Can see? So this means that my laptop has been connected to the artisan to my roaster. Right, and once we have done that, right, you can load the roasting profile. I will not be showing you the roasting for today, but I can show you how to load the profile. Right, so you can see roast here. Right, and go to background. Right, and you can select different rows there. So let me where's my mouse, because I'm using one hand to hold my laptop. I will click load, right, and it will show me all the profile that I have already previously saved. So you can see I've already saved a lot of profile here. So let's say I do a Brazil, 250 grams, right? Then you click OK. Then you can see my profile is there. And once I put start, the machine will follow the profile and roast accordingly. Right, so that's I hope that's helpful, right? At least for Dane who are getting the machine, right? Yeah, no problem, Dane. We can actually link up. I can guide you through step by steps. No issue with that, right? And we can have a roasting party. Who knows who's gonna buy this machine from me, right? Justin, Mike, right? Yeah. So thank you for joining me. Right. Is there any other questions? Yeah. Thanks, Eduardo, for joining us. Right. So I'm just going to shout out the people that frequent my channel, right? People like Thomas, right? My fellow Singaporean. Dane, who has purchased the M10 from me, right? I'm still asking. I'm trying to get the factory to try to ship your machine as soon as possible, right? But don't worry, definitely you'll be shipped, right? Don't worry about it. And Fahri, is it correct? Did I get your name correct? Thank you for joining me today, right? Yeah, and Linda, right? Justin, there are so many of you, right? Yeah. Thank you really for joining me and supporting me along the way, right? Without my friends there, right? My journey will never be the same, and it's never fun to do things by yourself, right? It's always good to have fun with a group of friends who share the same passions, right? So that's really awesome, right? Okay, any other questions you have? Maybe I check. Right, so maybe just shout out Dane, thank you for joining me. Kinsley, Fashrik, Eduardo, Bob, Justin, Kevin, which is also my fellow Singapore friends. I think he's and Jensen, definitely another my fellow Singapore friends. Thomas, right, and Eduardo, right, Andre, right. Thank you for joining me today, right. So have a good day, stay safe, and see you very soon on next Friday, right. We shall try to do a routine of coffee roasting every Friday, right. So thank you for joining me. See you. Bye bye. Bye, Jensen.